Hey everyone, have you ever been using a super popular app, one that everyone seems to have, and you just find yourself thinking, this is so frustrating. How on earth is this thing so successful? Well, if you have, you are definitely not alone. It's this weird paradox we're going to dive into today, why some of the world's biggest apps can feel like they have, bad UX.
I mean, it's a totally natural assumption, isn't it? You see the millions of downloads, everyone you know is using it, and you just figure, well, the design has to be top-notch. But is that really the whole story?
So this right here, this is what we're going to call the beginner assumption. And look, it seems totally logical on the surface, but today we're going to pull that idea apart. You're about to see that the real relationship between popularity and quality, it's a whole lot more complicated than it looks. All right, first things first, let's just tackle this idea head on. This is what's known as the popularity fallacy. And we're going to see why a massive user base doesn't automatically mean an app gets a gold star for its user experience. So here's the absolute core idea you've got to remember. Popularity and UX quality are two completely separate things. An app can be wildly, unbelievably popular for reasons that have literally nothing to do with how easy or pleasant it is to use. So, what are those reasons? Okay, so if it's not always fantastic design that's driving success, then why do we put up with these clunky, sometimes infuriating apps? Let's peel back the curtain and look at the real forces that keep us coming back even when the experience feels, well, pretty flawed. And what's so fascinating here is that not a single one of these points says amazing design, right? Being first to market, that gives you a huge head start. You can capture a whole audience before anyone else even shows up. Then you've got network effects, which basically means the service gets more valuable the more people join. You're there because your friends are there. And of course, a gigantic marketing budget can buy you millions of downloads all on its own. These things are powerful, and they can help an app completely dominate a market long before its UX is even polished.
And hey, once you're on the platform, it's often a real pain to leave. Think about high switching costs, moving all your photos or contacts to a new service. Ugh, no thank you. Or the core value, like being in that one group chat with your friends, is so important that you're willing to put up with all the annoying bits. And a lot of the time, it's just pure habit, Or maybe you look around and realize the alternatives are even worse.
Okay, this next idea is where things get really interesting, and maybe a little controversial. What if that frustrating experience you're having isn't a mistake at all? What if it's completely 100% intentional? Let's look at a few examples where bad UX is actually a deliberate business move. Let's start with social media. You know the drill. Users are constantly complaining that it's addictive, that it gives them anxiety, and that the never-ending notifications are just a massive distraction. These are all totally valid user experience complaints. Which leads to the big question, is this good UX? I mean, from our perspective, as a person just trying to have a calm, productive day, it feels pretty bad, doesn't it? But let's just flip this around and look at it from another angle.
And here it is, the central conflict. From a user's well-being perspective, you could argue it's terrible UX. But for the business goals, maximizing engagement, keeping users on the app as long as possible, it is extremely effective UX. Those notifications, that infinite scroll, they are all meticulously designed to keep you hooked. It's frustrating by design.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about banking apps. We've all been through this, a seemingly endless onboarding process. It asks for every single detail of your life, and then it randomly blocks you for security reasons. It is a classic user frustration.
So, once again, we have to ask ourselves, is this good UX? If you're just trying to get in and get something done quickly, then absolutely not. It feels like a roadblock, so why is it built this way?
And here's why. That bad experience is almost always a direct result of outside constraints. The designers aren't trying to annoy you. They have to balance your desire for convenience against incredibly strict legal requirements, fraud prevention, and managing risk. In that context, this heavy UX is actually responsible UX.
And for our last example, let's hit up a shopping app. You're just trying to buy a pair of socks, but you're getting bombarded with banners, pop-ups, and constant upsells even when you're trying to check out. It just feels so chaotic and cluttered. From a pure design standpoint, it's kind of a mess. A clean, simple flow is what every designer dreams of. So we're back to our main question. Is this good design? Why do so many successful shopping apps look exactly like this?
It's because every single one of those clutter elements, every banner, every pop-up, is almost certainly tied directly to a business goal. Promotions drive revenue. Making offers super visible increases conversion. This is a perfect example of business priorities overriding the desire for a clean, minimalist design.
And that brings us to a whole new, much more professional definition. What we, as users, often call bad UX isn't usually a sign of incompetent designers. It's almost always a deliberate trade-off. It's this incredibly complex balancing act between what the user wants, what the business needs, and what the real world demands.
So what do we do with all this? How do we actually use this knowledge? Well, this is all about shifting your thinking from simple criticism to real professional analysis. Let's talk about how to apply this in a way that makes you sound like a seasoned pro, not a beginner.
Now, for any of you aspiring designers out there, this is super important. It's what I call the portfolio trap. It's so common for beginners to redesign a popular app by just making it look pretty, stripping out all the ads and banners. But to a recruiter, that's a huge red flag. It shows that you don't understand the real-world business constraints we've just been talking about.
Just look at the difference here. A bad explanation is just a naive critique. This app is bad UX, I made it better. A good explanation, though, shows real depth. I recognize that certain UX decisions prioritize business metrics over user comfort. My goal was to improve clarity without harming those core business drivers. See, that second one shows you get it.
If you take only one single thing away from all of this, please let it be this. What feels like a bad user experience does not automatically mean the design itself is bad. You have to understand the context, the business goals, the legal rules, the market pressures to really get why a product is the way it is.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought. The next time an app makes you want to throw your phone across the room, just pause for a second. And instead of just thinking, "Oh, this is so bad," try asking a much more powerful question. Why is it like this? Because that shift in perspective, that's the key to thinking like a pro.